Hey YouTube, Kira Qualia here, bringing you all my Garmore Gold Paladin Cardfight Vanguard deck profile for standard format 2019. Want to do an update to the budget Gold Paladin deck in a sense with the new support from the Miyagi Academy CF Club. Garmore being one of the more easier decks to build for Gold Paladin from the set, with Ezel being one of the more expensive decks. I thought I'd start with this deck profile. It's really fun. The whole basis of Garmore is just, rear guard attacks, rear guard pressure, you name it, with all your different Gold Paladin units, and a lot of them are very affordable. Like I said, most of the expensive cards for the Gold Paladin deck all revolve around Ezel himself, so this is definitely a more budget-friendly version if you're looking to build Gold Paladins and just try out the deck as a whole for standard format and using an Excel deck. So let's go ahead and get started with the deck profile. So to start off, I run 4 Great Silver Wolf Garmore. This is your main grade 3 unit of the deck. If your hand has 1 or less cards, all of your rear guards cannot be attacked and cannot be retired by your opponent's card abilities. So you just have easy protection with his continuous Vanguard ability. Yes, it is kind of like a hand negative, having that against your opponent, but if you use up the hand just for protection early game, you can save your rear guards for next turn from being, either attacked by cards like Exculpate, of course, and just, Kagero effects or Narukami effects that would remove them from the field from play. For backup grade 3s, I also run 4 Battlefield Storm Sagramore. It's a Vanguard or Rear Guard ability, which is the one main reason I really do like to run this card in this version of the deck. With the Ezel deck, they're running Ezel as the main card with Raven haired as well. So I think it finds no better spot for backup than in the Garmore deck. When placed from hand, you Soul Blast 1, draw a card, and call a card from your hand to rear. It's a Vanguard or Rear Guard ability, so you can even use it on your Excel circles just to hit bigger numbers with the plus 10,000 to your Sagramore, and just the draw power alone can help quickly fill up your rear guard circles as well. I also completely forgot the other ability of Garmore. When placed, counterblast 1, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, call 1 card from among them to rear, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And 6 of your units get plus 3,000 until the end of turn. Another Vanguard one, which makes Garmore want to be your main unit, obviously, on your Vanguard circle. Just with Sagramore having the Excel circle as well, you just have added backup pressure. And the call one is just an easy counterblast cost as well, so very, very easy for when placed. And if you consistently ride Garmores, you'll get those additional Excel circles also that you can call units up to. So I find 4 Garmore and then the 4 Sagramore. A very good grade 3 lineup, but just for a little additional backup for more grade 3 numbers in the Excel decks in total, I also run 1 Whitehair in the Moon's Shadow Pelennor. From the hand at the end of the battle, your rear guard attack hits a grade 3 or greater Vanguard. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 3, ride this card as stand, and this unit gets drive -1 until end of turn. And auto Vanguard at the end of the battle that your rear guard attacked a Vanguard, counterblast 1, return that unit that attacked to your hand. So you just have potential to call back units to reuse from your hand. It's good pressure just for the restand as well. Not really a restand, but you place Pelennor as a new unit on your Vanguard circle, so you can just have another attack to go off with. If you know you're going to use the Pelennor skill, soul preservation, I would say, is a very important thing to remember with this deck, just in case, because a lot of cards in the deck can rely on, soul usage, including Sagramore. That's why I only run 1 of this card, just for that option if you do end up wanting to go for it, but not necessarily, a big key focus of the deck. But just a good backup grade 3 support for sure. And that is it for the grade 3s. We'll now move on to the grade 2s. I run 4 Player of the Holy Bow Vivian. Just a good Vanguard or Rear Guard grade 2. When placed from hand, you counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, call a card from among them to rear, put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order, and this unit gets plus 3,000 until the end of turn. So with all your other call abilities, since it does have to be called from the hand, just with Sagramore having that call to hand after you draw does help and rely on Vivian for sure. Other cards, you always want to avoid Vivian when you use Garmore, since it calls from the deck, of course. But it just gives you better options and decisions on what you want to decide to call to your rear guard, since you can reveal Vivian and then another unit. At least you'll know then and there which one to call and which one you would prefer, maybe most likely not to call. And then for additional grade 2s, I also am trying out 3 Lop Ear Shooter. With this one, at the end of the battle that your grade 2 gray or greater Vanguard attacked, you can counterblast 1, call this card to rear, and this unit gets plus 5,000 until end of turn. So it's just additional attack cost from your hand as well, especially if you reveal Lop Ear Shooter on your drive check. Just being able to call it to rear, it doesn't even have to be an open rear guard. So for that plus 5,000 power, being a 14k power alone without the boost, it can hit most Vanguards and other units on the field, which is a good play just for the multiple attacks for sure with this card in the deck. And I also run 3 All-Out Knight Athels, another Vanguard or rear guard. When placed from hand, discard a card from your hand, look at 3 cards from the top of your deck, call up to 1 card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard to rear, and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's just a discard cost for looking at the top. It's very similar to Vivian for sure, just with its call potential. You don't necessarily need the counterblast, so if you open up Athels and Vivian on your grade 2 ride, you can at least benefit from all the different calls, with Vivian most likely being the counterblast, since you usually only get 1 counterblast per damage, unless your opponent obviously gets like a critical trigger or something like that. So having the discard power with the Thales as backup is one of the main reasons I really do like running this card in the deck also. And that is it for the grade 2s. When I move on to the grade 1s, I run 4 Knight of Vitality Brenius, another new card from the Miyagi Academy booster pack. When your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is placed, put him into the soul and draw a card and call a card from your hand to rear. So it calls from the hand, so you can benefit from the cards that when placed from the hand, of course, which is very, very helpful for sure. Just having Brenius on the field, so if you're able to call it early game with Vivian or Athels, you just have that set up for sure, and then when you ride into your grade 3 Vanguard, come next turn, you just have that draw power and setting up cards in your soul, which is another main reason I run 4 of this card, because you really want that soul setup for all of your different units on the field. So Brenius at 4, just with that draw potential and then calling cards, keeps your soul plenished for other units, including maybe Pelennor, if you want to go for that skill, and just all the other ones that do use soul for their abilities. So definite 4 of for sure in the deck. And I also run 4 Evil Slaying Swordsman Hogan. Always been a fan of this card in the deck. When your Vanguard attack hits, look at the top card of your deck, and you may call a card with grade less than or equal to your Vanguard from among them to one of your other rear guards. If you called, retire Evil Slaying Swordsman Hogan on your rear guard. So it's just an attack hit pressure early game. You can call it and just fill up your rear guards, which is very, very helpful for sure. But just being able to have that potential call at the cost of Hogan being retired means usually just, a good booster for your unit that's attacking. Then you can make full use of, his call depending on what card you go for. It's just good pressure, and if your opponent sees it on the rear guard as that, pressure, it's also just a good going first ride target also. Just make sure the benefit of it is obviously that you don't have to retire it, since it is on the Vanguard. And I also run 4 Listener of Truth Dindrain. With this one, when placed by your card's ability, you Soul Blast 1, draw a card, or countercharge 1, and this unit gets a plus 3,000 until end of turn. So it's just placed by a card ability, which you can do with plenty of cards in the deck. So just potential to set up your countercharge and the plus 3,000 for just a Soul Blast or a counter. Depending on what you want to use it for, you can go for the countercharge or the draw card. Like I said, depending on what you need the most, whether it be rear guards to fill or, countercharges to use for some of your other, units' abilities. So definite 4 of her as well. Very, very helpful in the deck. And lastly, for the grade 1 lineup, I have 2 Charge Gall. Now this is, I would say, the one spot in the deck that you can move around cards, readjust other numbers. I like this unit as grade 1, but if you wanted to bump up your grade 2 lineup, just for the fact that we are playing Excel and having more grade 2s, just to call to the open Excel circle for bigger numbers along with the grade 3s, you can try and adjust your grade 1 numbers. If you maybe wanted to run a 4th Athels and then put in a 2nd Pelennor, you can give that a shot, or one of the other generic grade 3s that just have more rearguard abilities for cards. You can remove the charge galls and put them in those spots, but it's mostly player preference depending on what you want to do for the lineup. But if you wanted to keep it, I would say charge gall is very good just for one place from the hand. The +5 until end of turn is a definite 12k power boost that can come in very handy depending on what unit it is boosting. And that is it for the grade 1s. For the grade 0s, the starter is obviously Crimson Lion Cub Criff, just the generic when wrote upon draw a card starter, like all standard decks. And then for the trigger lineup, I decided to go with the 8 front trigger. So I run 4 Knight of Forceful Fight. I think it's an L, so Nouns, and also 4 Dontagal. Now with the front triggers, just the pressure you can get with all the different rear guards you have is the main reason I run 8. If you wanted to try out 6 and 2 criticals, you can try that also. I've been testing back and forth between the numbers just because of the fact that the criticals, depending on what pressure you go for with your Vanguard, can definitely come in handy, but the 8 front with all the different units that you have attacking, I just say is more beneficial for sure in the long run with those big numbers you can reach. And I also run 4 Halo Shield marks, sadly missing 1. I'm not sure where I placed it, but definitely have to find it for sure. Just, you know, generic draw trigger perfect card for the deck, of course. And 4 Elixir Samiel for the heal trigger of the deck. So pretty standard, obviously, heal and draw lineup. But that is it for the deck profile. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Definitely do give the Garmore deck a shot if you're looking to just try out Gold Paladin before you make the step to go into Ezel. I would say definitely fun for sure because you get a full taste of what Gold Paladin is all about in standard format with this deck. But until next time, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe, and Kira Qualia out.